Hello, awesome people. I hope you are having an amazing day today. So today I want to take a quick look at my short story, novel I just knocked out yesterday for you folks. It's a game book. It's the first one of 4 by Joe Dever, the British guy who was, it's called the series is Freeway Warrior. It's set in the near future where a guy is basically Mad Max, but a good guy rather than just a protagonist going through some stuff. So basically, what's happening in this near future, post-apocalyptic, where there's a lot of stuff. There's some missiles, some bombs will happen, some terrorism has struck him, various shrines and such. And a small little community in Texas has sprung up like 22 people. It's already small, and so forth. After some of the radioactivity has begun to clear the air, and that sort of a thing. And so now more and more people are emerging from their holes in the grounds, and so forth. And so basically what's happening now is that you are Cal Phoenix. You are the young scion. You've been brought in and so forth. So you've been learning things like repair engines, make spare parts from your uncle who kept you safe. And your aunt was a nurse, so you've learned some basic first aid stuff from her. And now at the place you're driving, so you have a self-made vehicle from an engineer who came in to your area, and you also learned how to fight too from him. And so now you're shooting too. So you're shooting guy, and you have the Freeway Warrior. This is book number 1 called Highway Holocaust. It sounds fun. Highway Holocaust. So for you folks, again by Joe Dever. So basically what's happening in the first couple of pages is that you're going to find out that you're going to be hitting your little, is after like 6 or 8, 9 months or a year, it's going to hit a famine. It's going to have a drought. No water is going to be falling. So you can't grow your food anymore. So you're going to be, but you do with a radio, find a nearby place called Big Springs. You're going to be heading to. They have lots of water and food, but not a whole lot of oil. But you guys have plenty of oil. So you're going to bring your Texan settlement over to theirs. You're going to bring them all over. And then they say that they hear people over in Southern California are even better than they are from the radio, from the CB and such. And since your family is from there, you were just abandoned here. So you see, you might be able to meet your parents again after this craziness and that sort of a thing about 8 years later. And so now you are at the head of a convoy to head to Big Springs, and arriving at Big Springs is going to be the first book of 4. This travel and so forth. And about 3 or 4 pages, about sections in, you actually will kill this evil guy's brother. He's the head of a nasty motorcycle gang with like thousands of members. Kill his brother and rescue his woman from him too. And now she's joining your group. And she'll let you know this, and now he's coming after you hard. So you've got to evade him too. And then also the regular crazies, biker gangs and regular gangs and that sort of a thing too. So that's basically what's happening in the thing as the setup. And so the basic course. All right. So basically, again, this is a game book by Joe Dever, the guy who did the Lone Wolf series, if you recall. That I love. I've not read this. You can read this online. I'll link it to you in the thing if you're interested. So basically, what's going to happen? You're going to use the D10 or the random number table at the back to choose your combat skill. But in this case, it'll be your close combat skill. I rolled a 9, so I got a 19. And the endurance, I got a 5, so I got 25. And then you'll choose your stats. And in this one, your 5 stats of ranged weapons, a driving, a stealth, a survival, and first aid are your 5 stats for you. I think there's actually a perception in there too. And so basically what happens is that for each of those, you're going to get a base of 3, and you can assign up to 4 points, and any number you want. So 1 can go all the way up to 7, and so forth. And I had to assign a well-rounded in my first go-through, and I'm going to tell you this, I screwed up. I should have done a lot more stealth. So you get a backpack that can carry up to 10 items. You can carry. You'll start with a weapon that adds +2 to your close combat. It's a knife, a belt knife. You can also use a ranged weapon of any type, shotgun or a pistol or a rifle, each of which are better at different ranges and do more damage, and starts with different levels of shells and so forth. And you have an ammo pouch too. You can carry more in your ammo pouch of the lesser shells and so forth, so you can take more shots with you. You can also get a machine pistol too, so it's not automatic and so forth. And so that's great. Carrying one ranged weapon reduces your stealth by 1. So just starting the game I started with a rifle, which was fun. Started me off with you can only start with a few shots of it, but then you'll get an opportunity to get more stuff. Started me off with a -1 stealth, and then you use stealth a lot. And then also the more items you carry in your backpack, then the more. Every 3 items you have in your backpack is another -1 to your stealth. So you needed that stealth up. And so I would recommend putting 2 or 3 points in your stealth, because you will use your stealth a lot. And also your stealth is also sort of like your dexterity and stuff like that too. And so forth. You don't use first aid or survival stuff that often. Only once or twice every little bit. And that so forth. So I would have put it either driving or shooting. Shooting use a lot. Driving use a lot. Since you're in a self-made vehicle, I put 2 in I did my 2 in driving, 1 in shooting, and 1 in 2 in shooting. So I figured, it's a combat game where you're in a vehicle. Those should both be up and so forth. And I would have swapped 2 from shooting, which you will add a lot when you're firing your melee, your ranged weapons too, in order to make sure you hit and so forth. But you'll always add a base 3, because that'll be your base skill. Whereas your stealth will drop over time, and you will use your stealth a whole lot more. And again, your stealth is also your dexterity. If you also use it for like saving against combat attacks, you can shoot that sort of thing. You'll use it all over the place. So I did like this. Again, you start with a water filled canteen. You start with some foods and some items you can take with you, just like normal. And also in addition to an ammo pouch, you also got some like a water canteen and a first aid kit that carries up to 12 rations that you can use to heal 3 experience each. And that's it. You cannot use that to heal from your food or your water fatigue. Once that happens, you need to make sure you carry your water, and you need to make sure you carry food with you, just as up. And you won't have the healing skill, so you don't have any disciplines. And then each level up, each book you do. So when I start on book 2, I'm going to be moving up and immediately starting up with a +4 points. That I can add to my skills, just as up for you folks as an incentive to continue to play the series. All this stuff's online for you for free as the Millennium gift. Because he'd already made his money, he gave his copyrights into a website that's been created called Project Aeon, where you can just click from one page to the next directly. So this is all online. You don't even have to go it yourself. You can literally just click the button and go from one section to the next, and then you do fights, your own fights, and that sort of thing. And on with a combat ratio and that sort of thing, exactly the same like you would where you're a lone wolf combat. So there you are. So I like it. A little fun. It's probably like a 7.5 or an 8 out there. It's harder to give game books reviews because they're a little different than regular books and so forth. It took me about 4.5 hours for me to knock it out. Knocked it out in 2 days. For you folks, I did like it for the first time and so forth. I was inspired to go knock it out by a recent Magic the Gathering set called Aether Drift. That is all about a combat race and like shooting races and such, like Death Race and so forth. That's set in a not great place and everybody's trying to kill each other and that sort of thing. Actually, they played a video game for the PC called a Death Track, which was all about buying weapons for your car, destroying other cars so that way you can finish first, and you can upgrade parts of your car to 2 over time using money that you won. So that was pretty cool. I liked it lots on the Melee, on the PC, and I played a lot. Then I was thinking from the 90s, if I recall correctly. All right, so there you are. So I thought it'd be fun for me to go read this. Oh, this isn't a race, right? It's just a post-apocalyptic car wars kind of thing too. But there you are. I love it lots. And so that's my fun thing for you folks. And again, 7.5 for an AT. It's fun. It's a nice way to launch a series. It's better than Fire on the Dark. I'm sorry, Flight from the Dark, rather, which is the first book of the Kai series. Have you read this? And if so, let me know what your thoughts are about it. Again, keep it spoiler free like I did. I didn't go spoilers beyond the first few sections. Please do this thing. But what did you think? And if you agree or disagree with my 7.5 or an 8 out of 10, let me know what your thoughts are too in the comments below. Alright, and if you like this video, why not hit that subscribe button? Because there's going to be so many more of these involved, whether they're in science fiction, fantasy, or in horror. And then these older classics, I try to do 3 of these a week, or sometimes forgotten stuff too, from a few decades ago, or in this case, or all the way to, the pulpit and such, like 100 years ago. Totally fine with that, right? And so forth. So if you like this, again, hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, to be notified of my videos if you're feeling it risky, and all that stuff. And also just share it with your friends. Make sure you watch this stuff. I also try to dedicate my Saturdays to serials, the forgotten genre from movies and TVs from decades ago, in the black and white era, as well as things like movies on Friday, role-playing games or video games on Mondays, and then I might do a video game review too on Wednesdays and such. So that's also happening too. Just a heads up as part of that review. Typically in the genres that I cover, but not always. All right. And then, as a reminder, this channel is named The Worst Thing About New Books. It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? This is definitely older work from a couple of decades ago that we might have forgotten about by a guy who sold a lot of money, made his money. All right, and so, the first book alone, Flight from the Dark, sold 100,000 in the first month in the UK by itself. Crazy stuff, right? When you think about those numbers for our gamebook back then, I mean, I put it on Church and Maple Way and so forth. So yeah, good stuff. All right, and so if you liked, and then I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing in watching my videos, because we all have so many things, right, that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling. So I appreciate it so very, very much. And thanks again, and have an amazing day.